Sorry, I'm back on COVID. Something that Dr. Jha talked a lot about, the importance of Americans getting vaccinated. The latest CDC data shows that only about 14% of Americans have actually gotten the updated vaccines. Does the president believe that he or his administration bears some responsibility for not being able to convince the vast majority of Americans to get these updated shots that we heard from Dr. Jha are so important in this
Well,
season?
let's not forget, Zeke, when the president walked into the administration, he put forth a comprehensive COVID vaccination plan that did not exist before he stepped into the administration. That helped get more than 200 million Americans across the country fully vaccinated, and also made sure that there was equity at the center of his plan. Look, we're in a different phase, as you've heard us say, in this pandemic, and we are going to encourage people to get that new vaccine. We have the tools. We have the tools that we know work when it comes to COVID, when it comes to this pandemic, and we're going to continue to let folks know to utilize those tools. And so you've seen, as I started this briefing saying, we're seeing a familiar face in the press briefing room, and that's because we've been trying to be very consistent on pushing that message out and letting people know that they need to get the new vaccine. It is important. We know it works, especially as they're going to see their grandparents, as they're going to see families, how important it is to get that new vaccine for themselves, but also for their loved ones. Look, we believe we've had a comprehensive message, we've had a comprehensive plan, but again, we're in a new phase of this pandemic, and we just have to continue to beat the drum, and we'll continue to do that. But to your question about the winter surge, how Dr. Jha was talking about this from the podium. Look, because of the president's work and what he's been able to do throughout his administration, the American people have tools. We know what works, and to protect themselves from COVID, and we continue to encourage them to use the tools as we always have. Go ahead, JJ.
I'm wondering if the White House has any reaction on two bills that moved through the U.S. Senate. One is on TikTok. The Senate voted to ban TikTok from all government-issued phones. Let's start with that one. Does the White House have feelings on that bill?
So, as I've said before, want to be very careful on commenting on any specific legislation at this time. So, we'd refer you to Congress on the next steps. We don't get involved in the process as we've done in the past. But look, just more broadly, there are a range of tech applications and products that are not allowed to be used on the White House and other federal government work equipment for security reasons, including TikTok. We will not go into any further details about security policies that we have here, but I'm not going to get into the process. I know that this just happened, so we're going to let Congress move forward with their process. Did I just? Okay.
Thanks, Green. The president mentioned in his statement yesterday about the Sandy Hook killings, the anniversary, again, his push for an assault weapons ban, and also talked about moral guilt in not having done more over the last 10 years. There's only a couple weeks left for the lame duck. Can you give us an update on just what the next steps are that he sees for this White House, for this administration, and getting that assault weapons ban passed?
So look, we have been in close touch with Senate leadership on this. As you've just mentioned, this is a priority for this president. It has been for some time. He was a leader on this during his Senate days and also as vice president. And so he's going to continue to push for this. Whether this happens in the next couple of weeks or it happens in the next several months, he is going to really work hard to get this done. And he's talked about it at almost every moment that he can, every time that he had an opportunity to talk about the shootings that we have seen, how it's destroyed our communities, how it's destroyed families. He's going to continue to lift that up to the American people. Again, we're going to have those conversations with Senate leadership. We have been the last couple of days. Don't have a timeline for you. This is indeed a priority for this president and his administration. We have seen the work that he's done this first year and a half. He did the most executive actions on gun violence than any other president, and so clearly this is a priority for this president.
Beyond him speaking about it, is it really that? Is the strategy basically to use the bully pulpit, or are there other steps?
That's an important strategy. I mean, right? The president has one of the most powerful bully pulpits in the country, in the world even, right? And so we've seen him use it in an effective way to get historic pieces of legislation done. And so he's going to continue to do that. But we're also having conversations conversations with Senate leadership. That will not stop or end when it comes to this issue. Okay.
Thanks, Corinne. Just before you came out, the president had authorized the release of documents related to John F. Kennedy's assassination. And since you've been at the podium, the National Archives has started posting those documents. Can you talk about that decision to release those and also address 70% of the documents are being released, 30% still are not? What is taking so long in the other 30%, given it's been 50 years?
So look, as you know, this has been a commitment of this president, right? The president's actions have led to public release of over 14,000 records, including approximately 12,000 today, just to give everyone specifics here. As a result, we're talking about 97% of the collection is now available to the public. This reflects, again, the president's commitment to making these records available to the public to the greatest extent possible, consistent with national security. So this is a commitment that the president has been making for some time, or made some time ago. President Biden believes all information related to President Kennedy's assassination should be released to the greatest extent possible, consistent with, again, national security. That's why he directed the acting archivist to conduct a supplementary 6-month review of a subset of the remaining redacted records to ensure they are disclosed to the greatest extent possible. He also directed all remaining redacted information to be disclosed to the public when the basis for the continued restriction of that information no longer outweighs the public interest. So obviously there's a national security component here, but he is committed to getting that information out. And right now we're seeing more than 97% of the collection that's out there for folks to review.